Angie, are we back to you?
Okay. Okay, great. The next item, we were just going to give an update quickly on some information related to the Public Education Appropriations Subcommittee work. There are 2 documents that are additional information prepared by staff related to the early literacy program and the Beverly Taylor Sorensen arts program with updated information since this last week. If you have questions about the information that's there in backup, you can ask any of us as well as the staff over those programs. And then also today, Deputy Jones, Superintendent, and I believe Chair Moss all attended PEA, and there's some information that is either in the backup now or will be there shortly. And I didn't know if you wanted to give any comments on that.
I can. Related to what you're seeing in the early literacy or in the backups related to early literacy, today in PEA, there was further recommendations that the administrative portion of the early literacy funds do it. It's public, it's out there. And this goes to Board Member Boggs, through you, ma'am, question about rolling up, rolling down, all these types of things, which we can get to as soon as we pull the backups up on these different programs. So I would just add that for particular information to the board on the status of that particular funding being rolled up into the at-risk student add-on. So.
Okay. Do you have an additional question, Board Member Boggs, or is that? This would be the appropriate time.
I think so, yeah. Oh, okay. I'm not sure where.
Oh, fine. Okay, sir. So I got a phone call actually just over lunch, and if I recall correctly, we're looking at $126 million somewhere. It's just not there to balance the budget. And is that a true statement?
Madam Chair, if I may. So the amount was done for the year-end close. Where we're getting or hearing the minus 126 million was a year-end close, and then the estimates for the income tax fund came in lower. It doesn't mean so now there's another revenue report that's going to come out probably next week. So that could be offset by additional income tax proceeds that we haven't seen yet. But we did start at you close right, then you begin the next fiscal year right. But then because the legislature is bound to balance the budget by the way of the Constitution, then they have to look at potentially moving money up into the basic program to continue funding that. Just related specifically to, I would offer this through the chair, is related specifically to the at-risk student add-on. It is in the law that the legislature has to increase that by 1 increment. And 1 increment costs $25 million. So their proposal, which we've tracked and done pretty well with them, keeping pace with them, was to look at these related to basic programs like early literacy to see if they could, and I'm just using that as a small part of the overall question that Board Member Boggs is asking, is that they have to make sure first and foremost that they fund what legally they have to fund, and then overall the budget balances. What I don't know, or what I don't see, or what none of our staff sees, is what's going on the other side of the budget with the general fund and all those pieces and parts that have to take place there in order to get to what right is with balancing the budget. But yes, there was a negative 126 million starting point, which would imply that there has to be some methodologies used to create a balanced budget. Yes. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so the math through the chair, I would ask, is now the appropriate time to make my motion? Is that, or is that a different agenda item?
I mean, it's up to the chair, but I do know what your motion is, so I would recommend you do. I think it's appropriate, but it has to be, directed through the chair, ma'am. Yes.
So with your permission, Chair.
Yes, I'm just trying to make sure. Is that where we're at on the agenda? Would this be
her motion relates to the WPU percentage. I mean, it is an action item.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
I think
related
if we're there,
to your request.
let's go ahead and make that then.
So I move that the board adjust their WPU request to 6% and to direct staff to fervently work and advocate for the retention of the traditional BTS funding model, acknowledging
not there yet.
that the legislature is in a tenuous situation and showing our good faith effort
do you wanna get a
to
second?
engage.
That's the whole motion?
Oh, I
Tenuous
guess
situation and
the
engaging.
Two.
not tenuous situation. The motion would be that the board adjust their WPU request to 6% and to direct staff to fervently advocate for the retention of the traditional BTS funding model.
Okay.
And then I would,
Now, would you like to?
thanks. So
Fervently.
I, at the risk of repeating myself, which some people say I do, and I don't think I do, but some people think that, I would just offer that it is very clear that they're dealing with money problems, if you will. And I think that the PEA and the meetings that we've observed and the minutes that have come out show that we need to advocate in a way that says we're willing to acknowledge their stresses, but that this funding model is really, really important to us. And I don't think we can do that unless we acknowledge the tenuous situation that they are in, because they're trying to find money. And it is going to hurt our LEAs. It's going to hurt our BTS program. It's going to cause people to lose their jobs in different districts. Programs are going to get cut because the money's just not there with the way this new funding model is. So that is my motion. If anyone else has anything to say, that's fine with me. Thank you, Chair.
Can you check the motion to make sure it's accurate?
And describe what fervently would look like for staff.
Madam Chair, if I
Is
may.
this correct?
Yes.
Okay.
If I may,
Yes,
Madam Chair.
please.
I think Chair Moss would validate this as well. We were told early on this is a tight year and that, we do need to look at things. The timing couldn't be better for this motion for your consideration. I'm not advocating or doing anything either way, because the last meeting for PEA is on Tuesday, and that's when the PEA is going to make their motions to make recommendations on how much a percentage of the WPU, all these types of things. So the motion is timely. It's just a matter of the board, because if you do pass this, we would communicate to the LFA that the board has changed their. Not your priority. Your number one priority is the WPU, but the percentage that you
Right.
originally asked for. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and take any comments to this. Chair Moss, do you have a comment?
Yeah, question. So we have been advocating for the position that the board took, which was three things: to preserve for now the existing funding model, complete the study that was being done on barriers to expansion, and to use new money to help expand the program. So would this be a change in that last part? Okay, so that's been the discussion we've had, and it sounds like this is consistent with what the prior motion was that I think came out of the group. Okay, gotcha. Well, I think you did. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm just confirming. I don't see this as a change from.
So I would ask that if Superintendent Jones disagrees with me, that he clarify as much, but I don't see it in conflict. What I understand to be coming out of PEA is there is kind of a staunch dig in your heels response that they want to change this funding model, and we're not making much headway. And the change in the funding model is extremely detrimental to the program. The data bears that out. And I think as a board, we need to send the message that this is important to us. And we understand the budget issues, we understand the dollars and cents, and this is important enough to us that we are willing to engage in these conversations differently.
Can I follow up? Oh, I guess I can follow up. There's nobody to ask. I support the motion. I think it's a good idea. I think it reflects the acceptance of the budget realities, and that's kind of been our approach all along. These are the things that we as a board decided are in the best interest of Utah students, and to the extent there's money there, this is where it ought to go. I think, but your suggestion on WPU is kind of giving that acceptance while prioritizing the things that we feel strongly about. So we've been making that case and discussing kind of some of the harm that could come from the proposed changes to the BTS. And I was up with Lisa Clough. I don't know, seems like a year ago. I think it was Tuesday, Tuesday, making that case. So thank you. Yeah, I support the motion.
Okay, all right. Cindy does. Board Member Davis, do you have a question or comment to this motion?
Yes, thank you. I move to divide the motion.
Okay, there is a motion to divide the motion. Is there a second? Board Member Lear has a second. And I guess we'll vote on the divide. Is there, well, we probably, because there are people online, right? Can I do an objection if there's no objection? Oh, we have to roll call vote because we've got online. Okay, thank you. All right. It's not just it's online, we have significant people online, right? Yep. My apologies. Fervently significant people. We'll go ahead and start. Did Board Member Real join us? Okay, so Board Member Real, are you for dividing? What's that? Okay. Okay, so that once again, let me just repeat the motion. The motion is to divide the two pieces here. We have, the one is to, that the board adjust the amount of the WPU priority legislative request to 6%, and the other would be direct staff to fervently advocate for the traditional BTS funding model. Right? Okay. So this is to divide the motion. Board Member Rill.
Yes.
Board Member Booth.
Yes.
Board Member Bogus. No. Board Member to divide. Yes. Okay. Board Member Klein. Klein?
No.
Okay. Board Member Davis.
Yes.
Board Member Earls, yes. Board Member Green. Is Green with us?
No.
Oh, yep, she is. Good. Okay, Board Member Hart.
Yes.
Board Member Carey.
No.
No. Board Member Wood.
Yes.
Board Member Hymas. Yes. Board Member Lear.
Yes.
Board Member Moss. Chair Moss. No. Board Member Norton.
Yes.
Yes. Board Member Straight.
Yes.
Yes. And I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 no's. Is that what you have? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 yeses. Do we have everyone? It sounds like we have everybody here now. Okay. Okay. So the no votes were Board Member Bogus, Board Member Klein, Board Member Green, Board Member Carey, and Board Member Moss. And then, so that it's been divided, we'll go ahead and take the first one. Is there any other discussion of this? The motion is that the board adjust the amount of the board's WPU priority legislative request to 6%. And I'll take any comments that, Board Member Lear, are you speaking to that?
I can, yes, I can. I really left my mic on, but I wondered first, I had kind of a two-part comment. One, first is a question. I wasn't able to meet, to go to the USBA meeting today, and I wanted to hear if, and be reminded if USBA had asked for an 8% WPU increase. That's what I remembered. Am I remembering wrong? Brent, do you know? 10 total, but 8 plus 2, wasn't it?
Ma'am.
Yeah, please.
So the inflationary increase is 3.8%. So it
Okay.
would have been the difference
than
of
that.
10% and 3.8%.
Okay.
Yeah, 6.2.
All right. So that was my first part of my question. Second part was, I'm hearing talk of a tax cut. I'm hearing talk of a proposed tax cut. I'm also hearing talk of a request for $150 million for a program that hasn't yet begun. So I am reluctant to start adjusting, at least in terms of my vote, a request to fund basic public education from what our LEAs say we need, as long as that talk continues. I'm not as sympathetic to pleas of money is tight when there's equal talk of a tax cut and $150 million for a private school program that hasn't even begun. So my vote would be no.
Okay, thank you. Board Member Straight, I think your hand's up.
Yeah. Do we have updated numbers?
What does that mean? Are you asking?
Well, so it's always time between when we do our requests and then we start getting numbers. The legislature, their fiscal analysts start giving us numbers of where we're at. There's always then a last minute update and before they adjourn. But other than the fact that we have a shortfall in revenue projections, do we know what the new numbers are before we?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
we do
Hopefully
not.
we. Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
That's all right.
We don't have any updated numbers. They'll come out next week or very early the week after that. So PEA makes their motions. Well, all the subcommittees make their motions and then, pull them up to EAC. It's really in EAC where we get the updates on the revenue status. So the answer to Board Member Straight's question is no, I do not have updated revenue numbers at this point, if that's the question he's asking, ma'am. Soon though. Soon.
Okay, thank you. Board Member Carey?
Yeah, I'd like to make a
That is-
substitute
Oh, go ahead. Board Member Straight, are you finished?
I guess so.
If you go ahead and finish if you have something additional that you wanted to add. Okay.
No, I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Board Member Carey?
Yeah, I'd like to make a substitute motion, and that would be that this matter be postponed until our next legislative board meeting, so it can be considered in conjunction with the updated numbers.
Okay. Okay, so the substitute motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it with a
I
question.
don't think we can wait that
Ah.
long.
That's my question.
I don't think, sorry.
I'll second it with
Well,
Christina's
you can
question.
speak in a minute. Okay. No. Go ahead. Okay, you seconded. We're going to let Joe speak to it. Do you have or did you speak enough?
Yeah, I would just defer to a Deputy Jones if that would jeopardize.
If I may, Madam Chair, the last PEA meeting is Tuesday, and that's when they'll make their recommendation to EAC for how much to put on the WPU. So if you want to update your WPU number, I'm just not unduly influencing you, but now would be the time so that they know what the board's position is on the WPU percentage ahead of that last PEA meeting where they make motion. I understand the timing is not good. Board Member Straight, Board Member Carey, they're spot on. I just don't have any new revenue
So
updates
correct.
yet. So, but I understand how important that is to them. It's just timing.
Yeah.
It's their last meeting.
And correct me if I'm wrong, the process is they'll probably spend all weekend looking at all the numbers and then the final
Definitely.
thing. So
Well-
whatever message we want to send,
You have the motion thing in there, Sarah? Ma'am, could we pull up the motion
Yeah.
chart just so you can see what's coming on Tuesday? I mean, there'll be some modifications there, but you might want to. Is that big enough? Both. I mean, we can do this one first, but this is what they're looking at, subject to approval by the chairs, and leading into Tuesday. So, and then there's another one where these are drafts, so they could change between now and Tuesday. But can we pull the motion chart up that came out today? And I apologize. This just did literally happen this morning. So
no, this is good. This is
yeah,
relevant.
there you go.
So-
So yeah, there's some proposed motions there that will occur. And then there's another sheet that I sent a draft of that shows how they'll capture all the different amounts that that PEA recommends to the EAC. So probably the last these are not the only motions that can be made or could be made, but this they're just trying to get ahead, I think, a little bit. And remember, like programs like Beverly Taylor Sorensen were in the base budget bill, HB1. So there's been some other actions that have taken. The base budget bill has passed. And then, yeah, after you've spent some time here, it'd be good to go back to the first one and just, take a little bit of time to look at this and let me know if you have any questions or concerns. If you could scroll to, I guess, the left so that they can see the right, yeah, the X's and stuff in there.
Can you go up just a little bit so we can see the BTS?
And that would
Beverly,
be
are-
Representative Pulsifer's request for appropriation. That I think she did that, Wednesday. So this is in the backups now for you to review. If I'm not against Board Member Carey's motion, I just want to make sure just to duly inform you about the timing of everything right now. So
Oh, okay. If he's going to withdraw without objection, do I have any objection? Anybody online object to that? Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Good questions. So we are back to our original motion, which would be, I'll give you just a second, that the board adjust the amount of the board's WPU priority legislative request to 6%. 6% total. I've got to make sure that's inclusive. Okay, so we're gonna go online. Is that okay? And then okay, so Randy, we haven't heard from you yet. Will you go ahead and share your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we are we certain that USBA or JLC is still at the same level they've always been, haven't made any adjustments to what they're asking for the WPU?
yeah, Madam Chair, to answer Board
Booth.
to answer
Okay.
Board Member Booth's question through you, ma'am, the answer is no. We do not. As far as we know, they haven't taken a position on it. So, or they haven't. I'm sorry, they have not changed their position. Yes, correct.
Okay. Do you have additional questions,
Thank-
Randy? Or Board Member Booth?
No, it's tough. The timing of it is tough. But I did get a note from Jennifer Thronson, who just got off a plane, who said that there is another proposal that we should possibly consider for BTS funding from, I guess, the BTS folks and our fine arts folks in Jennifer's team. And I don't know exactly what that is, but that just came over the wire.
Okay, we're not sure what that is. We're going to finish these motions that are already here, and then we have 3 motions that board members have sent in, and then if we have time, we can certainly take a closer look at that. So I don't know if anybody has that information. If so, maybe let Angie know or someone, Elise or someone know, and we'll see if we can touch that real quick. We're not familiar with that. Okay, Cindy Davis, Board Member Davis, do you have a comment?
Thank you. Yes, I would speak against the motion. I think, in addition to, I actually probably would have supported it a couple of weeks ago. But, in addition to kind of a new surprise 150 million request that came up recently from the legislature, another just very recently within the last couple of weeks also came up for 200 million for looking at potential merit teacher increases. And makes me think things weren't as tight as maybe they thought originally. So in light of that, I'm not really anxious to reduce our WPU request, especially if and since they have been asking for cuts to below the line items like Beverly Taylor Sorensen and other things. And if those things get cut, our LEAs are going to need these flexible dollars to supplement, to preserve what they do have already. And these are the only dollars that are flexible for them. So, well, beyond the flexible allocation and that's just a whole nother conversation. But for the most part, this is fairly flexible money that could help offset those losses when and if they come. Thanks.
Okay, and
Also, I
oh.
want to note really quickly too that, 1% increase on top of the inflationary increase is $43 million. So with these hundreds of millions of dollars new proposal and seeing the amount that 1% increase of WPU costs, it makes me reticent to lower the ask. Thanks.
Okay, Brent Straight, did you have a comment as well? I don't see his hand up now. Is it still up?
It was answered. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Was there another board member, Carrie, did you? All right, I don't see any other comments. We'll go ahead and vote on that then. So the motion before the board is that the board adjust the amount of the board's WPU priority legislative request to 6% total. And we will start, I'm going to actually start at the bottom of my list I have here. So board member Straight?
Yes. Oh, wait a second.
No?
No.
Board member
sorry.
Norton?
No.
Board member Moss? Chair Moss?
Yes.
Chair Lear? Or board member Lear? Board member Hymas?
Yes.
Board member Wood?
No.
Board member Carey? Yes. Board member Lear?
No.
Board member Rill?
No.
Board member Booth?
No.
Board member Bogus? Yes. Board member Klein?
Yes.
Board member Davis?
No.
Board member Vice Chair Earl is a yes. Board member Green? Is she still on with us? Board member.
I said yes.
Oh, sorry, didn't hear yet. Vice Chair Hart?
Yes.
Okay, I think that's 7, 8. And is that what you have? Okay, so that does pass. The no votes are Rill, Booth, Davis, Wood, Lear, Norton, and Straight. Did I get that right? Okay. All right. The second part of the motion is that the board postpone the matter. Direct staff to fervently advocate for the traditional BTS funding model. Did we get clarity on what that word meant? Sound like we were pretty close, right? Board
Would
member
you like
Bogus?
the Oxford definition?
No, I just wanted to make sure we spoke to it. Just want to make sure
I just want to make certain that we're clear to the legislature that,
That this is important.
This is very important.
Okay.
And yeah.
And
And may I?
Director Thrones. Yes.
And honestly, that we are engaged in this conversation in good faith.
Okay. Thank you. That is a good definition. Director Thronson, did you have something to add to the Beverly Taylor? Oh, it's what's in backup. Okay, so we're
Yeah, it's kind of a moot point unless somebody wants to reject. It was another way to do the funding
okay.
that meets the needs of the legislature.
So we're good with
but
the
doesn't
fervent?
hurt the LEs as much.
Okay, we'll go with that. Okay, is there another? Okay, 2 hands online. Who's up online? I can't. Natalie, Board Member Klein, did you have a question or comment?
I think Board Member Davis was first.
Okay, Board Member Davis.
I'm in line to make another motion, but I'll just quickly add that I support this motion, and I really did appreciate, I was at PEA the other day, and Lisa Cleft did a great job, Chair Moss did a great job helping to support her, and Representative Pulsifer as well. The 3 of them made a great trifecta, but we can continue to work for this program.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yes, Board Member Klein.
Yeah, and I think maybe I missed a little bit of the conversation, so I apologize if this has already been answered.
Okay.
But the traditional BTS funding model, is that would that be the same as saying we're reducing the amount going towards it instead of upping the amount that has been voted on in our previous funding requests?
Yeah, we could get some, are you just seeking a clarification? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
So you're asking
Yes,
the
is this
difference?
asking to go back to the previous, to stay with how we've been funding it, or as opposed to increasing the funding like like has been requested?
I think that they're changing the model. The legislatures made motions to change the model of the funding. Yeah, to a grant
What does that
program.
mean as far as more or less funding for the program?
Yes. Does someone want to try to answer that?
Can start.
I could try.
But we're going to have to be real quick.
Yeah, I'll just start really quickly if you want. And then I think Jennifer has an optional model that's not the traditional, it's not what was in the bill, but a third. So I'll just quickly state the traditional model would be what we've been using for a number of years leading up to today. It meaning different LEAs receive different amounts depending on the salaries for their individual specialists, the BTS arts people in their schools. What PEA did, took and then EAC, and that's Executive Approves, approved, and then ultimately it did pass as part of HB1, so it actually passed the full legislature, this new model, is to give a flat average amount per specialist or teacher, as opposed to if one teacher made a lot, the LA got a little bit more. If another teacher was at the bottom, they got, less. So just wanted to clarify that action took place in HB1 and did pass. And so if there were to be changes to that model, it would require a statutory change at this point, not just not doing anything, if that makes sense. And so what Jennifer and team have and is in backup is some modeling for what I would call is a third option. So traditional is what we've had forever. 2 is the grant amount that passed in HB1. And then there's the new model of funding that's in backup. And I don't know if Jennifer, you want to quickly share that.
Okay.
And to,
Okay.
to the question that was in front of the body, does it save money or is it less money? It actually does save 1.1 million.
What is,
in both models, both the uniform grant amount and the third option that we have not presented.
Okay. So I'm just trying to seek some clarity right here. We're going to finish this motion. Deputy Superintendent Angie Stallings has indicated there are 3 people that are on a list for making motions. And I've had a couple of requests come in. So I just want to make sure just as we're moving forward, that those that have, made those requests, that we go in that order. And then I've had a couple of requests come in. Yes, please.
What I want to just clarify with Board Member Bogus is that with this motion, what you want staff to advocate for is the way the program has been for a number of years leading up to today, with no changes. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Will you tell me who's on your list so I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, just so we can keep order.
I have Board Member Davis, Board Member Reel, Board Member Wood, and Board Member Norton.
can I
Okay.
do a follow-up?
Yes, if you can do it. We're going to be really close on time, so go ahead and.
Yes, I'm just trying to understand what are the pros and cons besides what Jennifer mentioned, the traditional funding model saving us money. What are the pros and cons of one or the other? Is there?
Randy has his hand up. Okay. Sorry, I'm just wondering if Board Member Bogus can maybe touch base with Board Member Klein on the pluses and minuses of the different things. Okay. Is that okay? I mean, we can do it if you want publicly. I wonder if Board Member Bogus can
That's
give you
fine.
those.
I'll just be abstaining until I have
Okay,
that more.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Clarification.
Who else needed, was there another hand up? Yeah, Board Member Booth. Yeah, and
I just want to clarify that with that information that Angie gave us, I mean, I'm so disheartened because that is going to hugely impact the program and take the program away from thousands upon thousands of children in the state of Utah this coming year. We asked and pled, and Jim pled for a hold harmless year where we wouldn't ask for more money. We would ask for what we had last year and give us the year. But if they've already passed that, we're in trouble
I see.
with, yes. So I'm really sad.
Thank you,
That's it.
Board Member Booth. I know this is a passionate thing for you. Thanks for sharing your thoughts with us. Yes, go ahead.
Just quickly, I wanted to share one thing that could be not something that we're considering as a fourth option, but because we know that Representative Pulsifer, Chair Moss, Lisa Clough were together advocating for the additional 3 million, is there is a possibility that the legislature could stick with that second new model of the grant amount, but add an additional $3 million to it to essentially, even though it's now a grant amount, maybe up that a little bit more, if that makes sense. So then LEAs who maybe had or have teachers who have higher salaries, they wouldn't be, it would be almost like a little bit of a hold harmless. I just wanted you to know that could be another possibility the legislature has in mind, keeping that option too, but adding more funds to it.
Okay, thank you. I think we're going to move to motions, and then if we need to come back for additional information on legislation, we'll do that. Does that work? Okay, because I think probably people that have motions have a pretty good idea where they're headed on stuff. Board Member Davis, we're gonna start with you if you've got a motion. Oh, but first, I've got a great idea. We have a motion on the floor. I was thinking maybe it'd be a good idea to vote on that. So,
There, Monica?
fervently probably too. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and vote on that. Let me read it again and then I'll take the votes. The motion before the board is that the board, where am I at? That the board directs staff to fervently advocate for the traditional BTS funding model. And we'll start with Board Member Bogus.
Yes, ma'am.
Board Member Booth,
Yes.
Board Member Klein.
I am a yes. I had my question answered. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Board Member Davis.
Yes.
Vice Chair Earl is a yes. Board Member Green.
Yes.
Board Member Hart.
No.
Board Member Hymas.
Yes.
Board Member Carey. Board Member Lair.
Yes.
Board Member Norton.
Yes.
Board Member Rill.
Yes.
Board Member Straight.
Yes.
Board Member Wood. And Board Chair Moss. BTS funding. Okay. We're yeah, 13-1. Board Member Hart said no on that. Okay, now we will turn to
Chair, may I?
yes.
I would like to advise our staff that I have a checklist rubric for the word fervently.
Oh, great. That should have come up before.
I'm just
So-
joking.
Thank you. Board Member Davis, I believe you have a motion. Is that
I do,
okay?
but I am making a slight tweak to it.
Okay.
Do we want to go to the next person's motion and come right back to me?
Yes. Board Member Real, do you have a motion?
I do. I have two motions. The first motion is that the board supports HB 138 and HB 221. One is, oh, go ahead.
No, give us the titles and what they are. And then, well, you've got a
Okay.
second. So go ahead and talk to him and tell us what they are.
Yeah, surely. HB 138 is high need school amendments, and HB 221 is stipends for future educators. If I can get a second.
I think you had one. Board Member Lear seconded that.
Okay,
I would move to divide.
perfect. Thank you.
Okay. And there is a motion.
Can I speak to the
yeah,
motion
speak to it and then
before
we'll,
we
yeah,
divide?
go ahead.
Okay, I actually think that these two bills go great together. They are complementary. They are both focusing on future educators, the Grow Your Own program, and they align with our requests. And I also think that they support educator retention. They both are very fiscally conservative and I've talked to both of the sponsors of both bills, and they've gone out of their way to make this the most bang for our buck in order to give first-year educators and current educators dollars to support them staying in our schools and staying in the pathway and pipeline to become an educator. So they align really well together, in my opinion, and I hope that the board can support SB 138 and HB 221, which is Karen Peterson's bill. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's what I was going to say too.
138. Sorry. Okay, I'm trying to look it up real quick. Did you have a? Okay, we are gonna. There was a motion to divide. Oh, there's a motion to divide that was requested. Do I have a second? Okay. Is there? Well, let's take a vote. Motion to divide. Board Member Bogus.
Yes.
Booth.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Davis.
No.
I'm a yes. Green.
Yes.
Hart.
No.
Carrie. Hymus.
Yes.
Lear.
No.
Norton.
No.
Rill.
No.
Straight.
No.
Wood. And Moss. Divide? Yes. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 no's. Is that what you have? Okay, those names are Davis, Hart, Lear, Norton, Rill, and Straight. And so we'll be dividing those. We're going to start with Senate Bill 138, High Needs School Amendments. And I will take any discussion to that motion, or if you want to have Angie, do you have is it possible to give us a quick overview of that one? Do you guys have that one? SB 138? And if not, that's okay. I just had wondered if someone is briefed on that and wanted to maybe share a synopsis.
Angie probably has more of the logistical part of it, but I will say that when I talked to the sponsor, they discussed how they had put this together based on our request.
We didn't request.
First year educator means educator.
So
Could you
from the Grow Your Own.
Okay, so I just want to make. Does someone have an analysis of that? At least you do. Would you mind sharing? Because I think I have a general idea. I want to make sure I'm in the right.
So this is Senate Bill 138 from Senator Reeby. The bill requires the State Board of Education to solicit proposals from local education agencies, award grants, and make administrative rules. Requires a LEA that receives the grant to use that funding to employ an additional first-year educator in a high-need school and provide matching funds. And then they can report back to the State Board of Education on that progress.
Very similar, though. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out. I think Senator Reeby's ran something similar in the past, and maybe this has some different components to it. It wasn't a.
Yeah, she said she adjusted it to align with what folks were requesting last year.
Okay, the reason. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, she said she adjusted it for what folks were requesting last year to make it more affordable. So it costs the state less money in with this new bill.
And I think the reason why I'm asking, because this is similar, not the same as what she's previously run, and that one was not effective, meaning that money wasn't getting where it needed to go, and then teachers weren't staying in there. So I guess in my mind, I'm trying to figure out the difference here, and it's a grant program then, so people can get grant money for it. Okay. All right. Are there any other questions or comments to this one? Yes.
Just
Board Member Lear?
Is that me? Just a brief comment that I think this combines a lot of the things that the board talks about often, and I would like to see us put our support behind it. It shores up new teachers. It supports schools and teachers in low income or more challenged areas.
It is. It's the high needs.
In high needs areas. Title I schools.
Title I areas with low income, high percentages of students experiencing homelessness. So it is targeted at certain schools with certain populations.
Okay.
And it also addresses an issue of keeping class sizes low, and it provides support for those first-year teachers who are often, especially in low-needs schools, have a hard time. So I think it has many elements for a small amount of money of the kinds of things the board is looking to do. So I would hope that we could support this, given those, again, lower amount of money and those really targeted needs that the board's always talking about.
Okay. All right. Just one other piece of information. This is a $500,000 ask. And so I don't know if what that looks like when we approve something and then with our other funding, but just something to keep in mind. Okay. Is there any other comments? I don't see any other. Oh, Board Member Carey, do you have a comment?
I just want to make a motion.
Related to this? Oh, you're on my list then. Okay. Okay. We're going to go ahead and vote on this. So this is, where am I looking? That the board supports Senate Bill 138 high needs school amendments. And I'm going to start at the top with, let's start at the bottom actually. Chair Moss.
No.
Wood? Yes. Straight?
Yes.
Rill?
Yes.
Norton?
Yes.
Lear?
Yes.
Carey? Hymas?
Yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Green?
Yes.
I'm a no. Davis?
Yes.
Klein?
No.
Booth?
Yes.
And Bogus?
I'm a no, but I want to be clear. It's not because I don't support the bill. It's because I'm really trying to understand the funding mechanisms and acknowledge those. If the legislature chooses to do this, I would champion that, but I'm not going to ask for this money. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So the no's are, let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 no's? Is that what you have? Okay, so I have 11 yeses. The no's are Bogus, Klein, Earl, and Moss. Okay, second motion is, or the other part of this motion, that the board supports House Bill 221, stipends for future educators. Can someone give us a synopsis of that real quick, and then maybe the financial component associated with that, so we're aware of those? Okay, Elise, are you doing that?
Yes, I am. Remind me, what's the number again? 130?
It's
221. Thank
House Bill
you.
221.
Just wanna make sure I've got it all. So this would provide a stipend to those who are student teaching. That's really where it comes down to. $6,000.
What's the full cost of this,
So
the
full
request?
cost, the fiscal note.
Okay, so there's an 8 million one time. That's over a course of a couple years, or is it a 1 year? What are we looking at? Okay, so it doesn't specify. Okay. Okay, there's a good chance it could be non-lapsing. Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Do you have a comment then, Board Member Bogus, on that?
Oh, I apologize.
Board Member Lear?
That's a lot of money, but I really support, I think we've got to do some things to help new teachers and to help people. There's nothing harder than student teaching. I have PTSD from 50 years ago, and there's nothing harder. And so if we can give support to some of those teachers and some encouragement, then I think we need to put our money, our requests for money, with what we say we want. And this is it.
We're not trying to be disagreeable, but we were thinking of some other things that might be hard too, but yeah. Well, I don't know. I was going to speak during the actual public comment when they brought this up, because I did, when I did my student teaching, it was, I sorted cherries from, I can't remember what time we started, but it was most of the night, did my student teaching, and then slept during the afternoon. So I do sympathize with this, although I'm not sure I'm ready to commit to this kind of money, but it brought back fond memories. So do we have any other comments? Anybody? Oh, Board Member Straight. 2 online. Okay, Board Member Straight, go ahead.
Well, you did cherries, I did cheese.
Yeah.
And so, and when I was going through, and this is probably the same way, but we're probably pretty close together as far as age, but when I was going through, they actually wanted us, yeah, don't get caught up on that age thing. But when I was going through, they actually wanted us to quit our job. It was actually a requirement. And I just went in and I told them, I can't quit. So they said, that's fine. And I remember how hard it was. And I didn't realize at the time that when you do an assessment and it takes 10 minutes to correct, you just committed yourself to several days of correcting. So I learned that really quick. But this is just really a support. I went into a high school that had student teachers last week. Actually, it was this week on Wednesday. And they were, the student teachers were excited about this coming forward. They were aware of it. They understood it. And, you know, the one student teacher had actually quit her job in order to do her student teaching. I think this is money well spent. I think it will help with retention. I think it will take some of the financial burden, which when I first started out, my first contract was $17,595. I still remember that number because I realized real quick that I actually had more money in college than I had as a first-year teacher.
Okay, board
And I
member
qualified
Straight.
for all the programs. So I'm saying, you know what? I will.
All we're saying is we just
I'm for it.
we get. You've done a great job, and we are good to know. Everybody, we just need to keep comments shorter. We're not going to finish on time tonight before we lose people. Thank you, board member Straight. I think I have hands of Sarah up, and then also Cindy Davis. Do you want to comment to this? And if so,
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. We can vote.
Board member Davis, do you have a comment? And if so, keep it concise. Okay.
I'm just ready for you to come back to me, but I support this.
Okay, I've got you on the list still. Okay, board member Hymas.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm speaking in favor of this. I hope we can get this through. This actually changed the course of my career as well. If I had been able to student teach and get paid with my fourth child, then I would probably have spent my career in public ed instead of charter. I'm happy how things have turned out, but I get it. And to say, good luck, you're on your own is difficult.
It is hard. Board member Bogus, do you have a comment?
Yeah, so I like this in theory, but without amendment, I can't support this bill. It doesn't account for the multiple methods and pathways in which one goes through this process. And until that's accounted for in the bill language, I can't support it. But I will say, as everybody else has gone down memory lane, that when you have to quit a job to go student teach and live without income for multiple months, that is very hard. But without amendment, I can't support this
Okay,
bill.
thank you. Board member Moss, Chair Moss. Did you have a comment?
I'll just say I support it. I think the price tag's a bit high, but I want to put it into the hopper and see what they can do with it. I think it's great to expand our attractiveness of the teaching core that we need.
Okay, here's the motion before the board. The motion is that the board supports House Bill 221 stipends for future educators, and we're going to start middle. Board member Hart, Vice Chair Hart.
Yes.
Board member Hymas. Yes. Board member Carey. Board member Lair.
Yes.
Board member Norton.
Yes.
Board member Rill.
Yes.
Board member Straight.
Yes.
Board member Wood. Yes. Board member Moss.
Yes.
Board member Bogus.
No.
Board member Booth.
Yes.
Board member Klein.
No.
Board member Davis.
Yes.
And Vice Chair Earl, I'm a yes. Board member Green.
No.
Okay, then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 no's, so 11 passes. So the no's are Bogus, Klein, Green, and Carey. And I now have Board member Davis up for a motion.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I move that the board direct staff to work with legislators to include professionally licensed speech technicians in SB 52 educator salary amendments or any other legislation, including speech language pathologists' salary increases, like HB 103 or others. If not feasible for fiscal year 25, then for fiscal year 26, and support SB 52 educator salary amendments. And I'd like to speak to the motion if I get a second.
Okay, is there a second on this motion?
Second.
Okay, Board Member Straight has seconded that. Go ahead. Board Member Davis?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. We have, as you know, a kind of a shortage of speech pathologists, but in an effort to help with that situation, we have hired speech technicians all across the state. They have a bachelor's degree, just kind of like a teacher does, and they have a license through the USBE, just like a teacher does. We have actually 142 on associate licenses statewide and 432 professional licenses statewide, but only about half of those are currently working. That half I'd like to include in the salary amendments. Somehow they got left out. Everyone else got in there, even with our, in addition to our teachers, our extra providers, except OT, but they're kind of at the top of the pay scale. So I don't know if they want to advocate, but these guys aren't. And this extra salary adjustment would really make a big deal for them individually. And when I talked to Representative Perucci about this, we did some numbers just roughly off the top of our head and figured it would be about 1.5 million to include them. That's not exact. We'd have to run those exactly. And again, if not for this year, then next year, depending on what the bill sponsors say and PEA and EAC says. But this is really important. The second part of this is to support SB 52 educator salary amendments. That's a much smaller amendment. It's in like a 139,000, I want to say, for some of our RESA employees to be included in the educator salary adjustment. So that's my motion. I'm happy to answer questions if anyone has any.
Yes, and we will take comments to the tune of about 30 seconds each. If you have a comment or a question, don't see any. Do you see any online? Okay, we're going to go ahead. Oh, okay, go ahead, Board Member Klein. Really short.
Do the employees for the RESA, do they make equivalent to what educators make typically? And are they in the schools and classrooms like the educators? Or is their work very different?
Okay.
If that's to me, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they are licensed educators, and they work either with the educators themselves or like they're specialists that go into the classrooms, if I understand correctly. Someone else can correct me if
Similar to early literacy, right? They would go in and assist with it.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Board Member Lear?
Short comment. This is another thing that the board, over several board periods, has supported with our lip service, and that is supporting employees who work directly with students and support teachers. And if we can't support these people, we're going to lose them, and that hurts our teaching force dramatically, as well as our children.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the motion before the board is that direct staff to work with legislators to include professional licensed speech technicians in Senate Bill 52 educator salary amendments or any other legislation, including speech language pathologist salary increases. And that's for House Bill, example is House Bill 103, or, we're doing the or, right? Or if feasible for fiscal year 25, then for fiscal year 26. And then also to support Senate Bill 52 educator salary amendments. And I'm going to take a vote. So we'll start midway again. Oh, sure.
This I didn't hear.
Who's the bill carrier? Vickers is the.
Thank you.
Okay, so Johnson and Vickers. Okay. Let's go ahead and start with Board Member Lear.
Yes.
Board Member Carey? Or do you want me to come? Okay. Board Member Hymas? Yes. Board Member Hart?
No.
Board Member Green?
No.
Board Member Davis?
Yes.
Board Member Klein,
No.
Board Member
Excuse
Booth?
me, no.
Sorry, yep. Board Member
Yes.
Booth? Yes. Okay. Board Member Bogus? Chair Moss?
Yes.
Chair, Board Member Wood? Board Member Straight?
Yes,
Board Member Rill?
What a fun order you went in.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know, that is fun. Board Member Norton? Board Member Norton?
Yes.
Okay, and I am a no, and that was a fun order, fervently fun. The motion, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 no's, and so that makes what's the math on that one? 9. 9 yeses, so that passes, and the no's are Bogus, Klein, Earl, Green, Hart, and Carey. Okay, the next person I have in line is Wood.
I move that the board take a position of support on HB 296, reading disabilities amendments.
Okay, so there's a motion that the board supports 296 reading disabilities amendments. And do you have a second somewhere?
I'll second.
Okay, Board Member Lear has seconded that. Do you want to give us either a summary or we can ask staff?
I can give you a single summary. It costs no money. All it does is add the definition of dyslexia into our code for those parents who want to be acknowledged that their children. I talked to Leah Voorhees. They did some amendments to make sure that that didn't discount, automatically put them into special education or anything. It's just a definition. But if you listen to the committee, it was lovely. If all committees could have such wonderful parents.
Thank you. I think I was there for that one as well, so thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a vote on this. So the vote, are you going to comment? Okay.
Oh, no, I just
Okay, here
typically
we go for the vote. The motion before the board is that the board supports House Bill 296 reading disability amendments, and we will start with Rill this time.
Yes.
Norton.
Yeah.
Lear.
Yes.
Carey. Yeah. Hymas. Yes. Hart.
Yes.
Green.
Yes.
Vice Chair Earls, yes. Davis.
Yes.
Klein.
I am a no. I don't think it's an accurate definition.
Okay. Booth.
Yes.
Bogus. I'll come back. Chairman Moss. Okay. And Wood. Straight.
yes.
Carey. And Board Member Bogus. Did you get your reading done?
I would ask what's wrong with the definition.
Well, it's too late to do that, but you can do yes or no.
Oh, that's I guess not my question. It was just that
Well, you can give her a
articulated.
call during the break.
I would say yes, but
Okay.
I would love to know I would like that to be disclosed.
Okay.
Maybe over email, but
Line
regardless.
53.
She says line 53, so something about line 53. Okay, so that is what? 13 to 1. We have one abstention and one no, and that's Board Member Klein. Board Member Moss abstained. The next person I have on my list is.
I have one more.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. I move to direct staff to advocate for early literacy funds to be allocated to an early literacy add-on as opposed to the at-risk add-on.
Okay. Are we too late to do that?
Am I
one?
too, well, this was
No,
just.
I'm just, yeah.
Is this funding only? I mean, is this policy only?
Is this? No, it's not policy. I didn't mean that. I just
Oh.
meant putting this in today. Are we still too late to start advocating for that? Do you want to, can we ask that question? I'm not saying no. Actually, let's get a second, then we can speak to it. Say it one more time.
I move to direct staff to advocate for early literacy funds to be allocated to an early literacy add-on as opposed to the at-risk add-on.
Okay, do we?
And I'll second for purposes of.
Sure. Tell us if this is correct. that okay? So, can someone tell us if scheduling wise, if, and I'm not saying we can't do this. Do you know what I mean? Are we too late maybe to get behind this one? Scott, are you okay?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I just am wondering about this item. If
What is it?
this is already kind of decided and we're
Deputy, Madam Chair, I don't
Yes.
think it's really too late to
Okay.
do anything. However, I would ask the board to consider where things are at with it right now, right? Where it has been recommended to, here we go with the timing again. Tuesday is when they make their motions. So right now it's been recommended by the chairs to the committee, but it's really about what you want to put in front of them between now and Tuesday that might influence it. So I'm not against doing it. It's just every day that goes by, it gets harder and harder to
okay.
to make any adjustments. So
Okay.
we have this thing in the military. We never want to give anybody false hope, right? It is where it is right now, and it doesn't mean it can't change. But I just want to make sure everyone knows that. I know how important things are to people, and we want to promote that or accommodate that. But I do think we too have to be careful about pushing too hard.
The message we're
Okay.
sending.
Right.
But we
Yeah.
don't
But
want
I
any
don't wanna
false
say I
hope
don't
going on
want
here.
to
So,
send a message. So,
Can I
yeah.
speak to it?
yes, please.
Okay, so there's no false hope.
Okay.
The concern I have with it being in the at-risk is that we are spreading our literacy funds to a K through 12 system. So we're diluting the money that is going to our LEAs. And at this point, we've given a lot of direction through SB 127, but that money did not go directly to our LEAs. You've noticed we've been passing a whole lot of contracts up here. That was a lot of money that never actually touched students. And so this would take that at-risk funding, put it into something that would give us money for our K through 3.
Okay, instead of outside entities. Is that clear in that motion, do you think?
So it's just a different focus. It's putting, we actually made a motion earlier to keep it as an earmark, and they didn't earmark it. They put it in at-risk. So this is just a changing.
Okay.
Our original motion was, we said roll it up, but keep an earmark on it.
Okay.
They did not keep that earmark, so.
Okay. Any
That's
other comments to that, Matt? Do you have a?
Just a question. So we made a recommendation, they didn't take it, now we're making another recommendation? Okay.
Yeah, it's the hope thing. So, right.
I didn't even put fervently, because I know where we're at. But,
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're this is a hopeful group here. So, we're going to go ahead and take this vote unless I don't see anything else. Okay. So the motion before the board is that the board directs staff to advocate for early literacy line item funds into a new early literacy add-on instead of rolling the early literacy line item funds into the at-risk add-on. Did something just get added? Okay, to be moved into, so it made more sense. Okay.
And there's lots of backup. If you look at the data that's in the backup, there was early literacy information in there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. We're going to start with Board Member Wood.
Yes.
Straight? Board
Come
Member
back
Straight?
to me.
Okay.
Can you come back to me?
Board Member Rill?
Yes.
Board Member Norton?
Yes.
Board Member Lair?
Yes.
Board Member Carey? Board Member Hymas? No. Board Member Hart?
No.
Board Member Green?
Yes.
Board Member Earls, yes. Board Member Davis?
Yes.
Board Member Klein?
No.
Board Member Booth?
Yes.
Board Member Bogus?
No.
And Board Member, Straight?
Great, yes.
Chair, are you abstaining? No. You're a no? Okay. No abstaining. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 no's, so we've got 10-4. The no's are Bogus, Klein, Hart, Hymas, and Moss. And we have, are you done with motions? Okay. Board Member Carey, you're up.
Yeah, I'd like to move HB 84, I believe, school safety.
Okay. Is there a second? Actually, I'm going to second it. It came out
Vice
of.
Chair Earl, can I comment?
Yes,
Oh,
you
I was
can. Do
gonna
you
say
want
the
to
same
second
thing
it?
you were. Yes, I would love to second it. Today in our standards meeting, we actually made a motion to support this bill in our next legislative conversation. So I also second that and support this bill.
Okay, so Board Member Carey, do you want to speak to it?
No, I think most of us, if not all of us, were present when Representative Wilcox extended the courtesy of having us down at the Capitol, answering our questions, not only about this bill, about the funding issues involved, but just generally get to know us and our concerns and our thoughts. And I thought that was very gracious. I think this will be a long conversation over several years.
HB 84, that's the one I was sending all the screenshots to.
Board Member Klein, we can hear you. I don't know if you're unmuted.
Sorry.
So I thought she was making another suggestion on amendment. No. So that's all. And I just would like to demonstrate that we're supportive of those efforts in this bill in particular. Thank you.
Thank you. What was I going to say? Oh, we've just had a request to make sure you're leaning into your microphone when you speak. Just there's sometimes on and off. We have a couple board members that are having a little difficulty hearing. So just make sure we can hear you, but make sure you're speaking right into your mic. Board Member Straight, did you have a comment, like 30-second?
Yes, I'd like to make an amendment.
Okay.
So the amendment I'd like to make is I support this 100%, don't want to make any changes in support of House Bill 84. I'm getting lots of feedback. Okay, that's better. So the business case and policy requests that we had last year for the 5
Do you have a
years,
motion?
150
Oh, maybe he's getting,
Yes.
sorry. I just sound like you're speaking. Sorry, just trying to, do you have a motion or an amendment?
Yes. I'd like to amend to adopt the business case and review a policy case for that we had last year, which was for 5 years at $175 million, just to be the baseline to continue developing this over the long term. This is a long-term thing, and I think that's been well expressed. So,
Is there a second?
thank you.
Okay, Board Member Lear has seconded it. Do you have more to add to that? I don't know if you can see the motion. I have on the motion, just so make sure we've got this correct. Okay, so this is what I'm reading what's here. It says that the board add if funding is provided. So
Basically, it takes the business case from last year. It was for 5 years, $175 million is what the projection was. And just to continue that on in support of House Bill 84, as well as our futures, that will hold it in. Because when I went back and read through the business case, it was actually based on an analysis that we would need to be 5 years, 175 million. Now, obviously, that's a big ask, but it is what it projected would be the need. And so we could adjust this over time. I guess that unless it's removed, I would think that it would continue on and we would have it in front of us for each year. So thank you.
okay, you want to speak to that, or did?
Deputy Jones, I believe.
Yeah, can you give us some feedback on that, maybe? Because I'm not really understanding it even.
Sure.
Why
Madam
it's-
Chair, if we could, Kelsey, can you go back and pull the PEA list up of where they're headed with this particular request or bill? And I can't really see that too well, so we'd have to probably locate it. R14. R14. So R is request for funding. R stands for request for funding. So 14.
Oh, that's HB 119. Hold on.
I know what's in there.
No, that just.
Where is it?
So we have Wilcox's and then the school safety. Is that what I'm understanding? That there's two pieces?
Yeah, 45 million.
Okay, and if I'm understanding, help me if I'm understanding this
Sure.
correctly. What Board Member Straight is saying is that we support the continuation of that ask from a few years ago with the
Correct.
45 million in addition to the school safety. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's what I'm understanding from him, but
Board Member Straight, is that,
Yeah.
are we headed in the right direction?
Yeah, I think we could simply just say to re-adopt our previous business plan.
Yeah, you
And
could.
this would have been the second year of that. Because when it was developed, it was actually developed as a 5-year plan.
Okay. So I don't know if it would be re-adopt as much as it would be a continued support for that 5-year plan.
You know
Would
what?
that be accurate?
Thank you, that's probably.
Okay. Okay.
Be used over 5 years.
Continued support. To continued support of our 5-year safety plan from whatever year it was. Would that be an accurate statement?
It was-
Well, if I
it was
may,
2023.
Oh.
It was,
Sorry, sir.
Go ahead, Board
it
Member.
was 2023, it was last year.
Okay.
And Carol Lear was one of the supporters. It was me, Scott Hansen, and Carol. In fact,
Yeah.
Scott was the one that had developed it.
Okay. Board Member Carey and then Lear. Did you
Yeah.
have a comment?
I'd like to speak in opposition to the amendment. You know, this body had the opportunity to make funding for school safety a priority. The motion was made to add school safety funding to our priority funding request list to the legislature. And this body said, no, we don't want to have it as number one, number two. I believe the vote was it wasn't even in our top 10 funding requests. So the irony doesn't escape me that now that the picture has come into vision, that now it's like, well, maybe we shouldn't have done that, and we're reaching and grabbing for straws to bridge that gap. I think that the best thing we can do to show that we support the bill, that we recognize the importance of school safety, is to unequivocally come out and support what came out of standards and assessment, which was HB 84 without amendment. Thank you.
Okay. Board Member Laird, do you have a comment?
Yes, of course, I support school safety. As Brent said, I was involved a couple of years ago as we developed this. Brent and Scott Hansen did most of the work. But my concern with this bill, and I will vote for it, my concern, and I think this is what Brent is getting at, is it's woefully underfunded. If the board wants to make it a priority, we've got to ask for as much money as it's really going to cost. And with all the personnel that need to be hired, and I don't want to shift the burden to the LEAs who have to hire employees or repurpose employees and then lose other positions. So I worry that we're not putting enough money into this. And my second concern, that speaking of ironies that fall on deaf ears, there's no discussion about our concern about guns in schools. That is just completely silent in the bill, and I think that is unfortunate and oversight. So
Okay.
I support it,
Yep.
but I think it's woefully underfunded.
So I'm just going to kind of lay this out there for the rest of the meeting. If you don't assign a tint, you can share whatever thought you want to towards whatever bill, whatever direction you want to go. But the intent of other board members or other individuals, I would just ask that we don't do that because it gets into more of a back and forth instead of we've got limited time. We've got some important issues to get through, and I'm just asking for that. So, Board Member, our Chair Moss, do you have a comment?
Quick question, if I could, just to compare the dollars and cents. Current fiscal note on Representative Wilcox bill, is it 47, somewhere in that neighborhood? 40, what is it?
40,
43?
47? I don't know. Somewhere right there.
Okay. 45
No,
currently.
that's not the right one.
Oh.
Go down to. Oh, it is? Okay, my apologies. I thought
Okay.
there was one that said Wilcox down
So,
below.
so the underlying motion from member
Oh.
Carey comes with $45 million
Gotcha.
price tag.
Got ya.
Going back
Sorry.
to the business case that was, I'm sorry to talk, I'm just trying to cruise. Going back to the business case that member Straight's talking about, 100 and something million spread over a period. What's the 1 year price tag on that one? I've lost track because
So it was 5 years. It was last year. It was number 5 on our priority list.
okay, is it simple math? 175 divided by 5?
Yes. No, it was 175 million. The projections from the group that put together the information was it would take 5 years at 175 million each year
Each year.
to get
Okay,
safety where it needed to be.
got it. Okay.
I absolutely acknowledge that it should have been on the list.
Okay, Sarah.
I just wanted to get the price tag. Thank you. I do recall that being prioritized last year. Thank you, sir.
Sarah and Cindy, I have you guys, are you to speak to this? And if so, just really short, so.
Yes. No, I have another motion if we have time.
Okay, I might have to set a time limit in just a minute because we are a little over, but as far as that component, because we have 2 other pieces to get through today. Cindy, you are speaking to this?
Yeah, I'll speak to both motions.
Okay.
I mean, I support both motions. The reality is it's already underway. We prioritized it last year. We're in this multi-year process. I think it was only funded at like 75 of the 150, but that was the request. So this is just a public acknowledgement that we're still working through that plan. Even as recently a couple months, we've been distributing funds. In addition, we are supporting this new school safety plan and
Okay.
legislation and request. Thank
All
you.
right, the motion before the board is really a good one. It's an amendment that we're gonna read in just a second. Sorry. You're good. Who's got the? Okay, tell me if this is, just let me know if we didn't quite get the wording right, but I think the motion is that the board to continue support of the board's 5-year safety plan to the previous motion. Does that make sense?
Board add to continue.
Okay, so are we waiting a second? No? Okay, so the amendment is to continue our safety plan, right? That we're supporting that. Okay, and that's an amendment to the original motion, so we're going to go ahead and vote. I'm starting with Hymas. Hart. Green.
No.
I know. Green.
No.
Davis.
Yes.
Klein.
No.
Booth.
Yes.
Vargas.
No.
Chair Moss.
No.
Wood.
Yes.
Straight. Straight. This is for the amendment.
Oh, yes.
Rill.
Yes.
Norton.
Yes.
Lear.
Yes.
Carey.
No.
And I'm a no. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8. So that amendment fails. We're back to the original motion. The original let me read it out though. So the yeses were Booth, Davis, Lear, Norton, Rill, Straight, and Wood. The motion before us is the board supports first sub House Bill 84 school safety amendments. And Vargas, are you?
If you're asking me if I'm voting, I'm a yes.
Well, okay, yep, that's how I was. Vargas?
Yes.
Okay. Booth?
Yes.
Klein?
No.
Davis?
Yes.
Earl's a yes. Green?
Yes.
Hart?
No.
Hymas?
Yes.
Carey?
Yes.
Lear? Norton,
Yes.
Rill,
Reel's a yes.
Straight,
Yes.
Wood, and Chair Moss.
Yes.
Okay, that passes with 2 noes, and the 2 noes are Klein and Hart. And I have in line, who's next? We have 2 left. Okay, we have Norton. Oh, do you have another one? Yes, it was. That's Norton. You're up for a motion? And then Rill, and then we're closing this at, are you on there, Jim? Oh, I that was for speaking. I didn't know. Okay, I have you on here too. So we've got 3 motions. We're closing it at 3:30 for other things because we've got people that are leaving. So just who's up? Go ahead, Norton.
I'm up.
Okay.
This is House Bill 251. It is post-retirement reemployment restrictions amendments. This is a revenue neutral bill. They worked it out. There's no additional cost to taxpayers. What it does is this is something that started with fire and police. They've added in education, public education system people, that if you retire, you're allowed to come back. It used to be you had to sit out a year. Now they're looking at 60, 90 days. So if a teacher retires, they can come back and go into something like a paraprofessional. A fireman could come back as a golf course, lawnmower, or whatever, but it allows you to come back into the system if you would like, and work for a while and then retire when you're really older.
Okay.
That's it.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Board Member Laird, you got a comment?
I do. I want a question to Angie or Scott. How much money is this ending up being, and did they find the money? And
Patty's the one that's working with them.
Kristen again?
Patty's the one that's been working with them. She might have insight.
She's not here.
Okay.
May I just share something? The funding would likely not come out of the PEA budget. Oh, sorry, somebody else got it. Oh, Patty,
Deputy
go for
Norman
it.
does have her hand up. Do you have a comment here?
No,
Oh.
yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead, Angie. Go ahead and I'll follow up.
Actually, Patty, you've been involved in the meetings. I apologize. I didn't know you were speaking. Please go ahead.
To the question, will you repeat it one more time?
I just wonder where the money's coming in from and how much is it? That was always been the holdup on this issue.
So it is cost neutral. It's cost neutral because of how they're going to do it with the algorithm. So they are going to be implementing it via a method I think that it's North Dakota is using. And so they would be doing a 20%, and I don't have that information right here with me.
That's
They're
even
doing
enough.
something.
Patty,
yeah.
that's
So
enough for me.
yeah, it's a cost neutral across. Yep.
Okay, cost neutral. We're ready to vote. Okay. We're going to start with Carrie. Are you ready to start on this one? Okay. Sorry. Let me read it out. That the board supports House Bill 251 post-retirement reemployment restrictions amendments. Carrie?
Yes.
Hymas? Yes. Hart?
Yes.
Green?
Yes.
Earl's a yes. Davis?
Yes. And can you use your microphones there, please?
Yeah, sorry. It probably is a little tricky because we're just going as quick as we can here. But if you can flip them on as you go and then back off, because I think we can only have so many on. Klein?
I just need to take a closer look, so I'm
Okay.
abstaining.
Booth? You're abstaining? Okay. Booth?
Yes.
Bogus?
Christina?
Bogus?
Vote.
Yes.
Okay. Moss? Okay, that was a yes for Moss. Wood?
Yes.
Straight?
Yes.
Rill?
Yes.
Norton?
Yes.
And Lear?
Yes.
Okay, that was 14 yeses and 1 abstention from Board Member Klein. And now I have, I don't remember. Who
Is
did
it
you say
me?
was next? Yes.
Sarah.
Okay, go ahead, Board Member Real.
I have a motion. Thank you. I have a motion that the board request the sponsor amend HB 182 to amend the bill with provisions related to the administration of the school climate survey. And it's to align with the work that we did in our last legislative meeting, where we worked through Lincoln Fillmore's student survey bill. And this takes, since he's now dropped his student survey bill, this takes Lisenby's student survey bill and adds the pieces that we had worked on previously with Lincoln Fillmore's survey bill that we supported, and adds in those elements that we approved on his bill. So it makes Lisenby's bill align better with the Lincoln Fillmore one.
Okay, so we'll read through what those are so we can, so Board Member Real's motion for House Bill 182, that the board requests the sponsor amend House Bill 182 Student Surveys Amendments to amend the bill provisions related to the administration of the school climate survey to remain a required survey for LEAs to administer, no opt-out or opt-in for LEAs, maintain the school climate survey as an opt-out for students and families, add an ability for the board to allow an LEA to opt out of up to 10% of the survey questions, and add language to ensure LEAs provide a translation of the school climate survey into the language of preference for parents who make that request when possible. That is the motion. Do we have anybody to speak to that? Are there any questions?
If I can just say one note, which is that I personally don't like the opt-in option, but I know that that is where we're leading with Lisenby's bill, considering Lincoln Fillmore's bill is now off the table, and so I'm trying to bring this more into a place that a lot of us can be more comfortable with.
Okay, and I'm going to speak to this. I don't agree with I think it needs to be an opt-in, not an opt-out. And I also think that LEA should have a little more flexibility. I understand that doesn't give us everybody in the whole state doing the same survey, but I do think that that each LEA, this is that local control component that we all love, has different climates, and I think it is imperative that they be able to address those in the way that they want to address them if they choose to do this. So I would speak against this motion.
I
Go
would
ahead.
also speak
I
again.
move to substitute
Okay, what is your substitute motion?
that the board requests that the sponsor amend HB 182 to add language to ensure LEAs provide a translation of the school climate or of any survey into the language of parents for those who have requested as much.
So if I'm understanding your substitution, you're wanting to support House Bill 182 and just take the only provision, and that provision would be the bottom one? Is that what I'm...
So I'm not asking for the board to support it. I'm asking for the sponsor to amend it to ensure that those surveys are translated.
Okay. Okay, so the substitute motion is just that. It would be to just keep the component of the translation services.
And Jenny, I have an amendment to the,
Okay? Yeah, where are we at? I need a second. Did you get a second? I'll second that.
I'll second.
Okay, and then we have an amendment to it. Board Member Lear?
I'd like to add to it, to the extent possible.
Okay.
Because Salt Lake, as you know, East High School, my kid's alma mater, 40 languages are spoken.
Okay, so we're adding to that to the extent possible, or at least when possible.
It already says when possible.
Oh, it
Do you
does
want me
say
to
when-
change that?
Where does it say?
So, okay, so it's there.
Oh, it already
Does
said,
that work?
sorry.
Does that work okay?
So great, yeah.
All right, any other comments? Okay, is there any online? Okay, we're going to go ahead.
Divide?
What's that?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, Cindy, Board Member Davis, go ahead.
Yeah, because this is a substitute, then you lose member reels. So
Yep.
I would move to amend to combine the two, but then someone will move to divide. So what's the situation there?
Well, you could,
After we vote for the substitute, can she move to add hers back in again?
Well, she can move
Or is
another
it-
motion.
But can she not move this because it was sub? She can't move the language of this?
Well, if the sub does not pass, then it would go back to the original language. If the sub passes, then there would have to be a separate motion. Am I right? That would,
But she can't use the same language because it would appear it was voted against because it was subbed. Is that correct?
is that correct? That would be correct. You're right.
Okay, then I would speak against this and then add this to the previous motion when the time comes.
I think this was on the previous motion, but it was the last thing. So,
Yeah,
Okay.
I was trying to be considerate of the work we did
Yeah.
last Thursday.
okay. All right. So,
One more question,
one
Jenny,
more
sorry.
question. Go
I
ahead.
did, so the when possible was already in that. Yes, so I did not add that.
Right.
So, okay,
Yeah. So there is no amendment on the floor.
right.
Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead with the votes on this, and I'm going to just start at the bottom this time. So the motion before the board is that we're substituting in the previous motion, that the board requests the sponsor amend House Bill 182 student survey amendments to ensure that schools provide a translation of any survey into the language of preference for parents who make that request when possible. Board Member Chair Moss.
Yes.
Board Member Wood? Board Member Straight?
Brent?
We'll come back. Board Member Rill?
I'm voting no because I want to make sure we get back to the other essential pieces of my First Amendment.
Okay. Board Member Norton? Board Member Lear?
No, same reason as Sarah.
Board Member Carey?
Yes.
Board Member Hymas? No. Board Member Hart? Board Member Green?
Yes.
Board Member Earl's a yes. Board Member Davis?
No.
Board Member Klein?
Yes.
Board Member Booth?
Yes.
Board Member Bogus?
Yes.
Okay, I don't have one for Hart. Board Member Hart? Okay, and I did Straight. Did I get in it? I have. Okay.
No.
No. Okay. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yeses. One. Okay, so 7. That motion failed. Board Member Hart is absent. We have. Let me read the yeses. Bogus, Booth, Klein, Earl, Green, and Carey and Moss were yeses. And we're back to the original motion. Any comments to that before we vote? Board, are you on, Board Member Rare?
I'm so sorry.
Claire? Okay.
Yeah, I am. And I don't know if Deputy Superintendent Angie Stallings has anything to add to this, but I felt like this was a good way of merging the bill that we approved last week and the bill that's moving forward. So Angie, I'm not sure if you have anything else.
So yes, the request, or when Board Member Real approached me, it was, how do we get SB 93 into HB 182? And so these are the elements that right now, if you look at SB 93, it would maintain the school climate survey as a required survey. It didn't address student opt-in or opt-out. So I assumed if you're going with SB 93, that the student, it would remain an opt-out. And then the other two are the amendments you requested last week, numbers 3 and 4.
That the board requested?
The board
Yes.
requested,
Okay.
correct. And then 1 and 2 are what are already in SB 93.
Okay, Board Member Bogus?
So I would just speak against the motion. I think we have code that says our LEAs have autonomy, they have flexibility, and I would speak against the motion. I think that you've articulated some very important points, and I would ditto those.
Okay, thank you. Board Member Hymas?
Yeah, I think it's clear how I feel about surveys anyway, than to remain a required survey, have a school climate remain a required survey to LEA, right? I struggle with that. It's no secret how I feel about the school climate survey. So again, I'd speak against the motion.
Okay. Board Member Lear.
And I would support the motion. We just voted, many board members just voted for a lot of money for school safety. And I think we don't know how to pinpoint those issues unless we have a school safety survey, a school survey that addresses those issues. So I would hate to just throw money at something without any data.
And I'm gonna maybe speak to that. Maybe I don't think the survey is dependent on the school safety things that go on in the school. They may give some information, but I don't think the things that are in that bill are dependent on our school safety survey. So go ahead.
Yeah, I would just like to speak to that because it's my understanding that, like any good researcher, they're looking at all the data points. And are some coming from the climate survey? Absolutely. But they're also reaching out to law enforcement who keep their own set of data, their own touch points on what's happening in the school. We looked at 9/12 yesterday. Those are factors that the school pulls and has to report to law enforcement. So I agree, eliminating the climate survey is not fundamentally going to damage the ability of law enforcement to get the data they need to protect our schools.
Okay. We're starting at the top. Board Member Bogus.
Wait,
No,
I
sorry.
have my hand up.
Oh, sorry, I can't see hands. My apologies. Who is that's speaking? Board Member Davis, go ahead and make your comment.
Thank you. I would support this. Just because honestly, we get asked all the time from the legislature for the data, and it drives a lot of our below the line funding items for prevention. And I don't think that this survey is, as Member Carey said, I agree, it's not the end all be all for school safety, but it does provide information for the top correlate, especially in our school shootings. So I think there are a lot of things we need to be really thoughtful about how we move through this space. And I think this is a good middle ground for our folks.
We're probably going to have to cut it off. So, okay, this is the motion before the board. Member Rill has made a motion for that the board requests the sponsor amend House Bill 182 student survey amendments to amend the bill provisions related to the administration of the school climate survey to remain a required survey for LEAs, to administer no opt-out or opt-in for LEAs, maintain the school climate survey as an opt-out for students and families, add an ability for the board to allow an LEA to opt out up to 10% of the survey questions, and add language to ensure LEAs provide a translation of the school climate survey into the language of preference for parents who make the request when possible. Board Member Bogus.
No.
And Board Member Booth.
Yes.
Board Member Klein.
No.
Board Member Davis.
Yes.
Board Member Earl is a no. Board Member Green.
No.
Board Member Hart. She's not with us. So Board Member Hymas.
No.
Board Member Carey. No. Board Member Lear.
Yes.
Board Member Norton.
I really, really, really dislike surveys, but safety is paramount with me, so yes.
Okay, Board Member Rill.
Yes.
Board Member Straight.
Yes.
Board Member Wood. Yes. And Board Member Moss.
No.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, that was a 7, so it fails. Yeses were Booth, Davis, Lear, Norton, Rill, Straight, and Wood. We have a final motion. We should have ended 5 minutes ago, but we've had people that signed up earlier. 7-7 with one, Board Member Hart's not there. Question?
Consent calendar?
We're
did-
not one
oh,
final
oh,
motion for
okay.
the, we're going.
Okay, I heard
We're in it
final
for a
motion,
little
I
longer here.
panicked.
Nope,
Okay.
sorry. We will get to
Okay.
consent
All right,
calendars
ma'am.
up next.
Yes,
I'll
thank
take
you.
an amendment to adjourn. No, we have one final under this section, and that's Board Member Moss, and that's our last one. So give us your motion.
And that's it. So this has already been addressed. I'd like to move what Director Thronson brought, which is a new opportunity on Beverly Taylor Sorensen, which would preserve the current model fervently, but with the adjustment proposed by, or I don't know who proposed it, but it's been presented by Director Thronson, that it would take off the ESA money from BTS, which would then require the LEAs to fund that 20% matching from local funds, which I understand is the original intent. So part of the concern of the legislature is that while locals were supposed to do 20% plus 80% state funding, in reality, a lot of that has been the 20% using state funding and the other 80% using state funding. If that's clear as mud, I apologize. Does that make... I just learned this, but the intent was a local match, right? They're using the ESA money from the state to do the 20% and then getting 80% state money on top. I think that's part of the concern that's driven the legislature to look at other funding models, so I'd like to move that we adopt that one and preserve the original funding model. My understanding it would save $1 million, just as would the grant program, the block grant that the legislature is considering. So give them the cost savings while preserving the original
Okay, is
model.
this your motion up here?
You bet.
That the board directs staff to fervently advocate for, are we doing a fervently advocate again?
I don't know. Director Thronson,
Sure.
would that capture the essence of model whatever?
Fervently, traditional BTS funding model, but remove the educator salary adjustment portion from the salary.
I think it gets at it. So the big thing is we would not attend to salary increases. So ESA would go off already. And then as the teacher's salary increases, the LEA would be responsible for that. So whatever that teacher comes
that
in
in there,
next
too, if
year
you could.
is their amount in perpetuity until that educator leaves and they replace them with someone new, then we would redo their allocation. But ultimately, with the WPU and ESSA going up, the LEA would be responsible for any salary increases moving forward.
Can we just add third model to that and we'll know what
We
it
call it the
is?
stability model if you
The
want.
what?
The stability model.
Okay, can you
is
add
pretty
stability
stable.
model and we're going to take a vote unless there's some pressing questions? Okay, so it's to support, do you have a question, Bacchus?
Oh,
Remember
no,
Bacchus?
I actually just would support the motion. I think
Perfect.
this does what we
Okay.
need it to do, and I think it would please the legislature.
Okay, so let's see. So the motion is that the board directs staff to fervently advocate for the traditional BTS funding model, but remove the educator salary adjustment portion from the state provided salary allocations related to the BTSA program. It's the stability model. So those in favor, let me run down our list here. We're going to start at the bottom. Moss?
Yes.
Wood? Yes. Straight? Rill?
Reel's a yes.
And Norton?
Yes.
Lear? Carey?
Yes.
Hymas?
Yes.
Hart? Green?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Davis?
Yes.
Klein?
Yes.
Booth?
Yes.
Bogus?
Yes.
And hallelujah, that one's a unanimous vote today. And we're going to move with that to the consent
Yes.
calendar. Wow.
I'm a yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yes. Thank you for reminding me to come back to you.